Right.
And we're live.
And we're live. Yeah. So afterwards I have to get dressed and we have to shovel our way out of the house because it's like the back door to the backyard is stuck. So I have to kind of like hope that the snow is soft enough that I can kind of like push the door enough so that it'll slide open.
Snow is not my jam. If I was a Yankee, I'd own a flamethrower.
Oh, right. No, those are illegal here. I think technically they're illegal everywhere, but
then I would break it down Satanic Panic style, hairspray and a lighter.
Right.
Oh my God.
No, that's how we kill roaches.
But not before you trap them in toothpaste, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Good morning, everyone. It is January 26th. 26th. And that's already just crazy. 26th.
Yeah, it's just flying.
Only. Is it? Because I feel like this is the longest January of my life.
Really? No, for me, it's like, holy shit, I'm just getting over the first. I mean, it's like, it's just been really busy and a lot going on for me. It's like, but yeah. So yeah, yeah. So good morning, everybody. So I guess we might as well.
We might as well do this. Yeah, right. You ready?
Absolutely not. But hit it.
Here we go. And fuck you, because
it's like we don't have those clips anymore. Yeah,
we don't have those clips.
Yeah, we changed the Streamyard, along with everything going on with the that's what I forgot to do today. I forgot to do our little advertisement for the vlogs. That's okay. I'm kind of out of it today, but so we changed over the StreamYards because the Indie Comics Network StreamYard is significantly more expensive than my own.
Yeah.
So we decided to move everything over to my own account, and because of that, we can't download we can't re-download the clips, so it's whatever we can find and able to put back into the StreamYard. So we're either probably not going to have those clips anymore, which is a little tragic for me.
I'll find a substitute.
Yeah, so Nita will take care of finding
Daddy got you.
Oh, okay. So good morning, everybody, from this snowed in, from the snow. Well, I mean, I'm definitely snowed in here. That's for sure. Jose's home from work. Lorraine is snowed in, so she's home from work. So hey, look, Mayor Mom Donnie told everybody to stay home and read smut. So that's what we're going to do. That's, it's like, who am I to go against city rules, right? City regulations. Oh my goodness. So of course we see everybody joining us in the chat. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And
good morning.
I see you, our beautiful eyeball people, freezing from regions beyond. Thank you so much for joining us. And while you're here, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. So I guess we might as well just get everything started officially. And hello, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic artist from New York. I've been self-publishing comics since 1992, and you know what that means.
I just love it when he talks French.
I am the artist for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, and the creator of Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, a medieval fantasy drama you can read online at eagleworks.com. And if you are following the published series, the pre-launch page for issue 12 is in the chat right now. I'm just at the final panels of finishing this book. So hopefully soon I will have an actual launch date for the campaign. But for now, if you hit the notify me button on the pre-launch link, you will get an email notifying you exactly when the campaign goes live so you don't miss anything. Yes, and the beautiful QR code so you can sign up and also get notifications about everything about Eagle Raven, Tall Tales, House of Bob straight into your inbox just by scanning this QR code. So yeah, and also you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage Art, which also simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network, now under new management. But I still have my beautiful co-host Nita with me, who doesn't have to explain Indie Comics Network anymore.
No, never again. Yeah, I'm Nita. I'm here.
Right. Yes. No, absolutely. I was a little concerned for a second because it was taking you a while to accept my admin invite.
Well, that's because I said fuck comics for the weekend.
Right. Okay.
Like,
all right.
Like for real. Like I know it sounds awful because it's like, yo, but Nita loves comics. Nita does love comics, but sometimes Nita gets tired of talking about them, dealing with them, and everything. So Saturday and Sunday I took for myself for my mental health.
Well, that's good. That's good. But that's good to do anyway. It's like
it is. I'm far more productive Monday through Friday.
There you go. Like giving yourself an actual schedule instead of like doing what I do and just like work through everything. Holidays, weekends, days off, apocalypse. We work through it all. Snow days. We work through it all. Oh my God. And now with my new Wacom tablet, I can now work outside on vacation where I'm elsewhere, where I'm not supposed to be working, but I can do that now too. So if it's better for you to have a schedule where you have the weekend to yourself, then yes, by all means, please do that.
Well, honestly, I have 4 kids, so there's no such thing as a weekend to myself unless I hop a plane and I've gone somewhere.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I needed that. I needed the time for the house. Plus, we've all been sick as fuck, man.
Oh yeah, I know, right? Something's been going around, really. Because people are either saying it's some kind of virus or it's just like the flu, and it just being sick in general sucks.
It was a miserable flu, and it came on like super fast. Like one person sniffling to 6 or 5 people half dead.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It was fucking crazy how fast it came on.
Yeah, but at least everyone's getting better now too, right? I mean, it's leaving just as fast as like a bad guest.
Actually, the body aches were very, very reminiscent of COVID.
Ooh, yeah, that's the worst. Yeah, I hated those. I try not to remember because it was a very unpleasant experience. That's for sure. But now it's just dealing with snow. Like I said, we're literally like kind of like, well, I'm locked in because I can't exit my backyard because my door is stuck. So I have to deal with that. But I don't know. It's like what's really funny was just like, it was snowing like a little bit yesterday, like kind of like, oh, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that bad. And then it's like the snow started coming down and like almost like you open up the windows and the windows are all white and it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be bad. But being New Yorkers, we have experienced worse than this. So technically it's not as bad as we thought it would be. So, because it's like I remember one winter where this is when I think Lorraine was still here, or at least we still had in New York and we still had her car. And we may just get sick again. Don't say that.
Yes.
And her car was parked in the backyard, and it was so much snow and drift wind and everything that we couldn't see her car anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Don't give yourself a heart attack, Rob. I mean, because that's the one thing that when we go shoveling, I always remember that more people die of heart attacks shoveling snow because they're straining themselves when, they never had to do that before. So don't do that. No. So no doubt.
Yeah, every time I think it's time to get up above enemy lines. I mean, move up north. It's time to move every time the snow comes, and I'm like, nah.
Right. Well, yeah. Look, there's just certain things that that kind of like keep us from like considering certain places. For me, it's hurricanes.
Really? For me, it's snow and earthquakes, and you get both.
Very we don't get earthquakes that much though. Although
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
You couldn't get me to move to California for anything. Earthquakes and fire season? No.
Oh my God. I was on the phone with my friend Mia when Baltimore had that last quake they had that shook them pretty good.
Oh, that was probably the same. Yeah, we probably felt that. I think that one we felt too.
And I'm like, nah, fuck you. We were on FaceTime and I was like, I don't even want to come visit no more. Like,
we all have those lines. We all have those lines we don't cross, those natural disasters that it's like, I don't know. Do you have something like mild, like locusts or boils or something?
Fire and water do not scare me.
No, right.
Like, it's like, yeah.
And yeah. Because it's like the worst that we've had is our basement flooding.
True.
I go, no, it's true. It's true. Because it's like, because for a while we had a flooding problem in our basement. Like we lost so many books, especially Jose lost so many books. No tornadoes. Yeah, no tornadoes. I think is kind of like another line I won't cross either. And then it turned out to be just a $50 fix, and then we've never had floods again. Knock on wood. But like actual like a river is in your house now, that I could live without. That's the type of flooding I think I draw the line at.
When you open the door and the gator swims in, it's not cool anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we're in Florida now. No, that's alligators in a pool. Yeah, if you have, if you have a pool and you're near a canal, you're gonna get alligators.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So that's kind of like Brooklyn got a tornado and Miami got a tornado. I remember that because I was in Miami with my mom, and it's like I ended up with a tornado warning on my phone, and I got in Miami. What the fuck? Like that shit made me nervous, and it's like, oh God, tornadoes. But hey, hey.
Fuck that.
Yeah, really, really. But climate change is fake. Oh my goodness. But so if it's one thing that all this snow did, right? Because honestly, just kind of like thinking back to COVID though, right? That there was this small moment of time with the snow where it kind of like felt like that, where everything just got like really quiet and still because everyone was home reading smut. Doing as the mayor told us to do, and it was just kind of like really nice. Like, not having that pressure to have to go do something and to go out and to run errands or whatever. Like literally it's like we were forced to stay inside. So it was just nice just being able to just kind of like work and not have to think about anything else because there was nothing else to think about, you know. So it's like I kind of, you know, I appreciated that. I appreciate it. The shoveling is ass. You know, I appreciated everything else, you know, but
there's nothing I like about the cold weather.
No, it's like what C said. It's like, you know, you think you kind of like, you think you like cold weather until you get old. And then it's like, yeah, this sucks. You know, but to tell you the truth, though, it's like I've been in Miami during the summer and that really sucks too. Like just the extremes. I can't handle the extremes, you know. But unfortunately, though, it's like spring sometimes just feels like it's 3 minutes long. So I don't know.
Oh,
like,
definitely it does that here.
Yeah, it's like I need spring or autumn, either one. You know, these middle seasons, I can't stand the extremes. You know, but then again, who can really stand extremes anyway? So oh my goodness. So yeah, so another thing that I was able to do, you know, with the quiet and everything, although I've actually watched these videos a little bit ago. So remember when I was talking about this woman who, you know, like worked artist alleys and she created merch for artist alleys for like anime artist alleys. And she was talking about how she was going to like kind of like slow down doing artist alleys to do comics instead. You know, and I was kind of like, you know, like kind of like grousing. It was more grousing about it's like, oh, here's this girl who thinks that, you know, she's never done a comic before. She thinks that she could just do a comic and, you know, and then we kind of figured that it's like, well, if her audience for her tchotchke shit is large enough, she'll probably do okay with the comics.
Right.
But then Jose made the joke that's like, oh, 2026, I'm going to be doing comics. And then 2027, I'm going to go back to doing tchotchkes. That's what Jose is expecting. Because I was telling him about this. And he's like going, yeah, it's like, you know, they're going to probably do it for a year, make what little money that they can over it. And then they're going to realize that it's easier for them to make fan art tchotchkes at anime shows than it is to make a whole ass comic, you know, especially in the volume that you kind of need to do it at in order to gain any traction. So, yeah, so he was joking like, oh, 2027, they're all going to go back to doing their tchotchkes again, right? So there was kind of like a follow-up video of that, but not the same person, but kind of like the same theme as to like, oh, what are people going to be doing? Artist alley people. It's like, oh, I interviewed 60 people in anime artist alleys to find out what they're going to be doing in 2026. You know, and what was funny was seeing like, you know, I thought that what this woman was thinking of, like, oh, I'm just going to do a comic, right? I thought that it was kind of like a one-off. But after watching this other video where this guy is interviewing 60 artist alley artists as to what they're going to go into in 2026. Hello. Not the tchotchkes. You know what, it was kind of funny watching it. Like on one hand it was kind of funny, on the other hand I had that same irritation, but in the end it's like whatever. Where a lot of these artist alley artists were like, a lot of them were talking about like pivoting into comics and animations and webtoons and things like that. And because I guess like the overall criticism that I got from watching all these artists is that the competition in making fan art tchotchkes has gotten so intense that a lot of them really felt that doing comics about their original characters was the only way that they were going to be able to stand out in Artist Alley for the next year. And if they're not doing comics, it's just pivoting to original characters. But then again, in this case though, they're talking about like, Hello Kitty, like their own like Hello Kitty type characters, right? But but the whole point was that they were really lamenting how they felt they needed to pivot in a more original way to stand out, even though these the same people who said that you could only make money at these conventions with fan art, that it had gotten to the point where even that's not enough anymore. And that they said, like, yeah, we really are trying to find a way to be more unique, to really be able to stand out. And now, granted, a lot of these people, what they really started leaning towards is, like I said, making original product with their original characters, and making kind of like more utilitarian items. So instead of like keychains and I don't know, stuff like that, like they said that they're leaning towards like purses and kind of like Labubu type plush animals to hang on the purses and kind of like stuff like that. And they're kind of like leaning more into that. And like a few of the people says like, well, what we want to do is we want to lean more into comics because Artist Alley doesn't have people who do comics anymore, which reminded me of like several years ago when I think it was Kodansha, one of the Japanese publishers. They came to Anime Expo and they were lamenting, where are all your manga artists? Where are all your American manga artists? It's like, we came here to see American manga artists and everyone is just selling Genshin Impact keychains in Artist Alley. What happened? And what's funny is that I remember how there was a lot of pushback in the Artist Alley. Exactly. In the Artist Alley scene, where they were angry at these people, like, how dare you? We have to make money at these conventions because they're so expensive. It's not like in Japan where the convention tables are $30 and printing isn't expensive and people can afford to actually do comics. Although, after seeing a couple of videos of Comiket, it's mostly porn. Makes the world go round. But the whole point is that they were saying that it's a lot more viable in Japan to be able to spend that time to make comics, as opposed to here where at Anime Expo tables were like $1,000 and up. And it's like, you can't make that on comics. You have to sell fan art. But now it's like, just to see how the tide has turned. And like, yeah, it's like what Rob says, making comics is unique. Right. It's like, especially when everyone else is selling Genshin Impact keychains, you making a comic, you stand out just for having something different. Now, whether people are just become automatically attached to that is to be said, but in the end, I don't think that the people saying that they want to do comics or animations to kind of like focus on their original characters, I don't think they're really going to have that big of a problem. I think they're going to burn out quickly once they realize how much effort that it's going to take, significantly more effort to have an audience that wants your original characters, as opposed to wanting, like a fan art keychain or stickers or whatnot. So so all I can say is good luck, babe. Which led me to another odd thing that I had started popping up in my feed, but this one I thought was really, really interesting. So I follow a lot of authors. I think this was on Instagram, right? And I was following a lot of authors. And I come up, and they're like these, you get suggested the related items. And a lot of these are also, I follow writers. So what do I get? I get editors popping up in my feed as well. And like I said, they specialize in writing. I'll go, so I get a lot of editors. And what's funny is seeing how, I guess, like the whole proliferation of AI SLOP books has really, really right. I make comments like about Genshin Impact keychains. Rob says that's like those YouTubers having an audience and making comics like Eric July. He has the audience and they buy. Right, that's that whole parasocial accessory that I was talking about, where it's like, yeah, their audiences are so big, you can make anything and people and you'll succeed at that because your audience is not buying that thing because they want it. They're buying that thing because it's an accessory to you. But so like I said, so these editors were all talking about the proliferation of AI slop, and and it's like how they're getting a lot of like submissions that they could tell right off the bat is AI. Like they don't even need to like look at it very long. It's like, oh, this is AI, this is AI, this is AI, right? And there was one editor that said that how they get around that how they were able to get around not accidentally publishing an AI book, or at least promoting an AI book, is that they talk to the author directly. And they go, there is one thing that happens that will make you automatically know whether you're talking to somebody who wrote their book using AI or not AI. And they go, the person who actually wrote their book, all you have to do is ask them about their story. An actual author will not stop talking about it. Right. Or an artistic version of it is ask them about their blorbos. And for those of you who don't know, a blorbo is just a favorite character. You know, it's like whether it's personal, like an OC, or just your favorite character in general. And it's like to ask them about their blorbos, and it's like you cannot. Once a person who actually did this starts, they will not stop. You know, like you can ask a writer about any scene, random scene in their book, and they will be able to tell you everything about that scene, why they thought about it, why they wrote it that way, what was, everything, right? Someone who wrote it with AI will have no idea what you're talking about. They can't even talk about their book outside of whatever blurb the AI gave them. And really, I keep scolding myself for calling it AI because it's not AI. It's generative tech. There's nothing there's no artificial intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence. It's not even intelligent. It's just a predictive model based on data. It has nothing to do with intelligence. So it's like, so the people who write their manuscripts using generative tech, they don't know how to talk about their books outside of just whatever blurb the generator gave them. Like they can't even talk about characters. They can't talk about motivations. They don't know what scenes you're talking about, because usually what they're doing is that they're just printing it out and they're just handing it in. If they're not just right, no soul means nothing, even to the prompter. Exactly. That they don't know. They don't even know what they wrote, because technically they didn't write anything. The computer did it. The computer spit it out and they just posted it onto, they published it on Amazon, and they, or they sent it to an editor, and, but they go, no, if you ask them about their blorbos, if they start running their mouth, it's not AI. And it's like, and I thought that was really, really funny, because it's like, it's like, it's like, you can ask me, like, even with the novelization or anything about my story, you could ask me anything random. You could literally pick a random paragraph and I will know what you're talking about. I will know where you are in the book. I will know where you are in the story, and I will remember everything associated with me writing that. And it's the same thing with artwork too. Why did you make these decisions? And you could take a piece of artwork. Why did you decide to do this? And I will just like keep talking. You would have to stop me. It's like I can tell you everything. Someone who's just, prompting, oh, why did you make that lighting decision? What? Like, oh, that's how I prompted it. It's like what are they going to tell you? Right. So, so when they can't, so the art doesn't mean anything. Nothing means anything. It's not even art. It's just content. This is literally just content. It's Gen Tech content. So, so I thought that was like kind of, really funny to like, hear that story. Cause I thought, yeah, it's like Melissa says, when are people going to learn it's just one big probability machine? Well, yeah, because the hype tells them otherwise. It's not creating anything. It's just jumbling shit together. That's all it is. But this whole thing, look, generative, it's like, the science, the developers, the original developers of the technology had to come up with the term artificial intelligence in order to get funding, because calling it a generator didn't excite anybody, didn't excite the it didn't excite anybody in terms of funding it. So they created the term artificial intelligence to make it sound like it was some science fiction bullshit that it wasn't. And then all of a sudden the money started rolling in. So that's the thing. So as long as people keep thinking it's the science fiction idea and not what it actually is, that's when you're going to continue to get that confusion. That, yeah, it's just a generative machine that's just trying to predict what you want to see based on everybody else who's looked for that prompt. That's why the AI thinks everybody wants child porn. So so there was this weird post from an editor that came up, right? That they were suggesting, because now it's like so many readers are trying to make sure that the stuff that they're supporting is not generative tech, that they're grasping at any tell that they can get their hands on, right? That's the whole M dash thing, right? And it's like, you idiots,
Right.
an M dash doesn't mean anything. An M dash, actual writers, use M dashes. That's why the machine is using M dashes too much. The only problem is that the computer doesn't understand the context of an M dash. That's why you see it everywhere when it's really supposed to be used in very particular. I think an M dash is usually used in a literary fiction, but really never in marketing. But you see it everywhere. It's in marketing. It's in, it's everywhere where it's not supposed to be. So that's the problem. The machine doesn't understand the context of these things. It just sees that, oh, all this writing has M dashes in it, so that means I have to put M dashes everywhere. So the editor was actually suggesting for writers to not over polish their works if they didn't want to be confused for AI. And I thought that was an interesting concept. What he was literally saying is that, it's like, look, it's like, I know that there's this simultaneous argument that, books are not being edited properly, that they're just being released to market with like minimal editing and they're weird and they're not, and look, I've just DNF'd a book where the editing is so bad on it. I just couldn't, but I know a person wrote it, and this editor was saying, it's like, look, he was saying, get to a point, I don't know if it was he or she, but they were saying, get to a point in your editing where there's still just enough flaws for people to know that a human wrote this. Because if you get too polished, people are going to reject your book thinking it's Gen Tech. And I thought that was really, really funny how an editor was saying this. That was really recommending, it's kind of time for you guys to embrace the fact that nobody writes perfectly. Nobody speaks perfectly. There is no perfect way to do this, and we need to embrace that. And it was something similar that I had read about artwork, about doing art, that it's like that now more than ever, it's more important for artists to really embrace the quirkiness of their art instead of trying to push for a perfected, polished image. And again, I found that interesting because when plot holes for authenticity, I know, right? And and I found that really interesting. But because it's like, because it was something that I was kind of noticing in myself as well. Like, where before, I had like no patience for like unskilled artwork. And after the whole proliferation of gen tech, I'm like going, now when I see unskilled artwork, I go, well, at least they tried. At least they're doing it. They still have work to do. They still have a lot of work to do, but at least they're doing it. And, and it was just kind of funny to see like how all of a sudden I'm giving even the most amateur of artists a lot of grace just for the fact that at least they're doing it.
Right.
At least they're putting in the effort that a fucking prompter can't even bother to do. And it's like, yeah, so it's like, so there was like this, so there's this conversation of that where it's like a lot of digital artists, like I said, they're going back into traditional. They're filming their return to traditional art. They're kind of like loosening up their styles. Like even Art Germ, because he gets accused of being AI all the time. And it's like, no, I don't look like AI. AI looks like me. It's like the computer was trained on his shit. Of course it's going, so now it's like I'm seeing a lot of these digital artists kind of like start to back away. I'm nowhere near where I want to be in my art, but I see a lot of amateur artists actually putting out books on Kickstarter. Much respect, honestly. Right. I respect that more than I respect some gen tech, porn mill. I mean, really, it's like, it's like really it's or anybody trying to use gen tech to make comics. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Although the ironic thing about it is that I'm hearing, what I'm hearing is that doing a comic with gen tech is actually a lot more difficult than these guys wanted to admit that it was, because they have to do the comic panel by panel because the AI can't do the entire thing all in one shot.
Yeah.
And it has the whole thing about it still has the whole thing about not being able to be consistent with characters and stuff. And it seems like a lot of it's like, even that's too much effort for these guys. So we're talking about people using this technology who thought that they could literally George Jetson a result, just pushing that button, and then, the money will be rolling in. And now they're learning that that's not what this is. That it's still it's actually even more work. Because an actual artist will know how to keep it consistent from the beginning, where they literally have to prompt and prompt and prompt just to get one panel right. Now do it several hundred times, So yeah, so we're talking. It's like, so yeah, so the fact that I'm finding myself showing grace to more, to people who are maybe not as skilled, but at least they're trying. Right. And with practice, because art is a practiced skill, it's not some magical talent thing, believe it or not, because the hard work always trumps talent. So at the end of the day, that's what happens, you know? So it's like, you can have all the talent, but if you don't work, it doesn't matter. So somebody who couldn't draw a straight line on day one, and then they're kind of, you know, getting the hang of, I don't know, drawing a manga on day 400, you know, it's like they're doing the work. You know, it's like they're putting in that effort, and the final result is going to mean more, you know, to them and to everybody who's looking at it. You know, so again, so it's like, so going back to the artist thing, so people were saying, so a lot of artists were saying that, you know, that if they have advice for new artists, right, is to learn to embrace your quirks. But even then, like, even old artists, digital artists, are pulling back on their styles, and they're doing that. They're leaning more into the quirkiness of what makes their style, as opposed to trying to get this homogenous, perfect style, because now perfect can be manufactured.
Right.
Now, it's going back to the whole lab-grown diamond analogy. When perfection can be manufactured, the value, the flaws become the value.
Right.
You know, so now it's this whole thing about antique diamonds, and even like if you can get diamonds that like predate industrial methods of polishing and cutting, that now those things are more valuable because they're less manufactured. So it's the same thing with artwork, you know, and it's the same thing with a lot of like in graphic design. The growing trend for 2026 is kind of like mimeograph style. Like making graphic design, the designs look like zines, looking like you cut out newspapers and shitty Xeroxes, and really textured and bold colors, because these are the things that the tech has problems with.
Right.
You know, so that it's like the trend is towards more handmade feel towards graphic design and advertising. And, you know, and it's like, you know, and it's funny because it's like, you know, don't tell me there isn't a pushback when graphic design and advertising is moving in that direction, is moving into a more skilled, handcrafted tradition. I mean, we talked about how Hermes and how Lacoste and Prada and, you know, it's like that they hired actual animation companies to do their advertising, to do their commercials. I see it on Instagram all the time. You know, Hermes loves using real stop motion animation. You know, I mean, it's like, this is not a coincidence. This is the pushback. You know, I mean, it's like, meanwhile, but the thing is, if you listen to the tech bros, you would think you couldn't take a shit without it being AI enhanced. You know, but that's not the case. There is real pushback because advertising, the design underlying advertising is pushing back on it. You know, companies are realizing that people want to see humans doing this stuff. They don't want to see Coca-Cola, you know, taking 10 million hours of generated footage just to create 30 seconds. They don't give a shit about that. You know? You know, it's like, you know, so yeah, it's like, so with artwork, it's just really funny how it's like, you know, the editors are saying, don't polish your work as much. They're not, now mind you, remember, nobody is saying don't edit your stuff. Nobody is saying don't practice your skill.
Right.
You know, that's the thing that I just want to, you know, really make clear here, that it's like, nobody's saying that's like, oh, just, you know, anything, you know, draw like, you know, a caveman and you'll be good. It's like, no, that's not, you know, you know, and it's funny, you know, bringing up, you know, caveman art. I mean, it's the reason why we still have this fascination of the idea of early man doing art. where these caves, where these, these paintings still hold our imagination, just the other day, Jose was listening to a podcast with Rob Liefeld, and he was interviewing Whilce Portacio. And I really had to stop when Rob Liefeld was talking about going to see Whilce's artwork in person for the first time. And or actually he saw Whilce Portacio at a convention inking something. And the experience of watching what he thought, what he believed was a master at work changed his brain chemistry. And he says within a week, he was inking differently. Just from that one moment. Right. And, and then it's like he was talking about the importance of being in a bullpen, of being surrounded by, I guess, working at Marvel and being surrounded, or even, at Image, and being surrounded by artists all working together. And everyone's able to look over each other's shoulders and going, oh shit, that guy's doing this. I better, up my game. Right. And it reminded me of when I was in high school. And that's kind of with my closest friends my closest friends, we would all meet up, Jose was there and everything. We would all Jose would head the table, and then the rest of us would be drawing at this table in the middle of this mall. Right. And we would all be it was the closest to a bullpen we would have. Right. We would just be drawing in public, just hanging out and the whole thing. Right. And what we would do is that we would look at each other's artwork and I'd go, fuck, it's I got to up my game the next time I'm here. I can't just show up with the same shit. Right. And that's exactly what would happen. Just the mere physicality of seeing each other drawing, it's made us go, I have to up my game. Right. And to hear Rob Liefeld talk about that, I mean, it's I felt very nostalgic for that feeling, seeing other artists in person. And and I think that that's the thing that's really missing from this online environment. That there is something about seeing artwork in person that really does change how you think about artwork, and it's and to see somebody physically doing it. Because I remember when we went, this was pre-COVID, and we went to the Heritage Gallery was doing a auction. They were doing the auction for some Walking Dead pages. So we went to the gallery to check them out. And look, I could give a rat's ass about the Walking Dead, but to see the artwork in person kind of made me forget about that. It kind of made me forget that I don't like The Walking Dead. But to look at how the pen and ink fell on that paper, those really, really sharp lines that for some reason you really can't get a sense of in the print when the book is printed. And I think that has a lot to do with that too. A lot of artwork you really have to see in person because it's something about the printing that flattens everything out.
Right.
It's kind of like the difference between seeing a photograph of somebody and then meeting them in person. There's something about all this just flattens everything out. And I was just absolutely fascinated with these pages. And then afterwards, we ended up going to the continuity offices because the friend that we were with, he was told that they had a gallery that we could look through. Okay, we went there. Continuity is the studio owned by Neil Adams. And we went to the offices. I mean, Neil Adams wasn't there, but there was a very enthusiastic receptionist. And we had told him, it's like, oh yeah, we came here because we heard that there was a gallery. And he goes, well, technically the entire studio is a gallery. I'd be more than happy to give you a tour. So he gave us a tour of the Continuity Studios. And again, it's one thing to see Neil Adams' work in a printed page, in a comic book that you picked out of a dollar bin, although we even saw them when they were brand new off the shelf. I remember collecting Sam Marie, especially. But to see the artwork in person, and not only just any artwork, but super iconic artwork. There was this one like double cover spread. It was the Muhammad Ali versus Superman cover.
Oh yeah.
And it had all the celebrities. And it was there. And it was really funny. It was really and this is the thing that I love about looking at original artwork. You got to see where he cut and pasted all of the celebrity heads. And there was one part in particular where originally it was Telly Savalas who was supposed to be the celebrity head, but I think that they couldn't get the rights to him. So Neil had to change it to like Lex Luthor, and it was just like, to see that, and it was just like, and then there was a Bucky O'Hare cover that Neil Adams had inked over Michael Golden's pencils. I think it's Michael Golden. And just to see this stuff in person, like I literally, like, I came out of those offices like if I was coming out of a cathedral. I think like it felt the same as if I was coming out of Notre Dame. It's like, it was just like my heart was up here, it was just like, and then when we got home, I had to take a nap and contemplate. I had to meditate on the experience.
Recovery period.
Yes. No, for real. I mean, it's like, I remember seeing my first original Jack Kirby cover. It was a double spread at Florida. I think it was like MegaCon. It was not MegaCon. It was a Florida SuperCon, I think. And and it's just like, it was an original, and it had all these blue line notes, and it was stained with rubber cement and white out. And then to see like the passive aggressive editorial notes in the margins, where it's like, it's pointing to the quintessential Kirby hand. And there's a blue line note going, what is this? What's up with this hand? Jack, where it's like, this editor, I mean, and the thought of like, there was an editor who was getting up Jack Kirby's ass about something that made his work iconic. And just being in that moment, like, even I was like looking, I was looking at that picture going, how dare you? How dare you write that? It's like, how dare you? Who are you? I mean, it was just like, it's an experience that I can't remember ever feeling about digital art. And we're not even talking about Gentech.
Right.
Like, because like nowadays, it just feels like people are so used to seeing artwork as content that they don't sit with it long enough to kind of really think about it. And even then, it's like, I'm more likely to see people go, it's like, oh, this artwork is so good, I can never be like that. And then like, I'm going to quit art, and it's like, why bother? It's kind of like, nowadays I hear more why bother than fuck yeah, I'm going to try to do that. And and it's kind of like disheartening. And of course, Gen Tech only makes it worse because when you can just, type in a couple of bullshit, like 12-year-old anime girl with big naturals, in a prompter, it's like, oh, what's the point? And it reminded me of a very interesting ad campaign I saw in the train station about a couple of months ago. I forgot what I was going into the city for, but it was for a dating site, right? But get this, the thing that caught my attention is that the title, like the main ad copy of the advertising that says "rejection is hot." And I go, oh, that's odd. And I realized what the ad was for a dating, it's an online dating service whose sole purpose is to make you meet people in real life. Like, I guess it's like to set up, dates in real life. You're not meeting people in person. I mean, online, you're meeting them in person. Right. So I don't know anything more than that, because now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds kind of like a ridiculous concept. Of course, you're meeting people in real life, but it's like, really, it's like, do dating sites really don't, like Tinder and stuff? Look, they got busted. Lorraine says the thing I like about manga is you can literally watch the artist's evolution in a single series. Right? Yeah, exactly. And what's funny is that's how I feel about my work. Issue 1 of Eagle Raven, issue 1 of Tall Tales is very different. It's more dramatic in Tall Tales, but it's very different than when you hit my latest issues. And before, I used to be self-conscious about that, but now I'm kind of like, well, that's part of the charm, isn't it? It's like the first, 12, 13 issues of Cerebus does not look anything like what Dave Sim ended the run on. And what didn't look like anything at issue 300. But yeah, so it's like, so now I think that's just part of the charm, like seeing how an artist starts out and how they end. Oh, so the dating site, right? So it's like, yeah, so a lot of these dating sites, what they're really doing is that they don't really want to put you on dates. They want to keep you on the site because that's how they make money off of you. They don't want you to find a compatible person. So they're actually actively sabotaging you on these dating apps to get more money out of you. So the fact that this dating app is saying, no, for real, let's meet people in fucking person. Let's meet them in person. Like, even if they reject you, that's still great because it means you met them in person. It wasn't an algorithm pretending to reject you. So it's kind of like the ad was like literally pushing like physical meetings, like even rejection, something like rejection as being a badge of honor, because it's like, oh, at least I was outside touching grass.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's just kind of like, so it's kind of like, yeah, the whole the thing about like, what, like, how about like embracing those little flaws? It's the little flaws that, like, yeah, it's like, practice your craft. You still have to work at your craft, but now that perfection can be manufactured, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody wants it perfect anymore. A machine, because if we want it perfect, we just go to the machine, right? So it was just kind of like, yeah, so I don't know. It's like, and it kind of gave me a sense of hope. That's like, what? We really can make it to the other side of this. As creatives. Oh, but it's like, but like I said, though, a lot of people online, like I said, I'm more likely to see people say, oh, fuck this shit. I can't do it. I can't be that good. But it's like, well, that's not really the point. The point is seeing how far you can get trying to be that good. Because that's the path where you find yourself. And for some reason, a lot of people are not understanding that, or maybe because it's online, it's exaggerated. Maybe these are just like chronically online people who don't like the idea of doing anything. So they just mope online and want everybody to see it. Like that's their performance. So I can't really say in good faith that people online are actually like this. It's kind of like very particular people online are like this, and maybe those are the people you need to avoid. The people who just want to pretty much do the equivalent of sitting back and going, "Woe is me, I can't do anything." That there comes a point where it's like, okay, then don't do anything. You know what? Nobody's asking you to do anything. Don't do anything. Right. But you know what? I don't want to hear you whining about it either. I mean, we are in a time where even just to do something, even just to do comics and to publish books and to publish sketchbooks, something as simple as publishing a sketchbook, the bar is so low. The doors are so performative sad. Oh my God. Yeah, that's exactly what I keep seeing. Yeah, that's exactly what I keep seeing. Oh my God. It's kind, it's like the doors are so wide open. There are literally no gates. Right, that you could literally put together a zine, a sketchbook, a comic, anything you wanted, print it, and then put it on Kickstarter or sell it in your own shop. Put it on Kickstarter. You'll make $500 at least. Granted, you still have to put the effort in, but that's kind of, you still have to put effort in everything. But it's a lot easier to do it nowadays. And it's like to see so many artists, to see these particular people despairing, when it's never been easier to get your artwork out, to go to craft shows. It's like, look, a friend of ours just went to like a zine festival, and he had a whole table and everything with all his zines, all his artwork. He made his own action figures out of Play-Doh that he then like resin. Oh my God. He made resins out of. I mean, it's just, he just did it. Do you think he's sitting there going, oh, these figures aren't as good as like McFarlane toys? That's not why people are buying them. It's like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, seeing people who are better, who are more skilled than you, is not for you to say you can't do that. That's not why they exist. It's like they walked, so that you could run, essentially, as that phrase goes, right? It's like I said, I can't be Arthur Adams. I can't be Todd McFarlane. I can't be Neil Adams. I mean, fuck, I can't even be the Zhang brothers. But you know what? I just committed $500 to buying a Zhang brothers piece commission.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I can't draw like they do, but I can admire the fuck out of it that I could put my money on it, So, I'll give you an update when that happens. That's not going to happen until March though. So I finally pulled the trigger on our Zhang Brothers commission. So, and I was really worried about it because it is a lot of money for me. But at the same time, am I just being cheap? Is it really a lot of money for me, or am I being cheap? It's like, So I decided to pull the trigger anyway. The worst that happens is that I just don't do it again. Oh, yes, be Daphne Lage, not the artist we need, but the artist we deserve. The artist I deserve. the artist I need to be, so what I did this time that I learned from all the previous commissions that I have gotten from other people is that I created a brief. What I did was I made an outline as to what I needed the cover, what I needed the piece for, that it was supposed to fit on a cover. I put in examples of artwork that I wanted, that I felt were kind of an idea as to what I wanted the piece to look like. And then I even went down and gave like a color palette, examples of my own artwork, like this whole thing that it's like, okay, I am going to kind of go a little overboard explaining the vision that I had for this piece, while at the same time wanting it to still be a Zhang Brothers piece. And what was funny was that it's like pretty much the whole theme. And then it's like, so the whole theme of the piece is kind of like The Last Unicorn meets Lotus Wars. And I go, oh yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I'm looking for. Yeah, be yourself because everyone else is already taken. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that was an Oscar Wilde quote, wasn't it? So or at least it's misattributed to him. So I just made like this whole thing, like I said, to kind of like give them a really good idea as to what I was looking for, while at the same time still allowing enough leeway for them to be them. Because in the end, if I wanted it a very specific way, I'd draw it myself. And that's kind of not the point of a commission. So we'll see. He says that, well, it's two brothers, but I'm talking to one of them. They said they only could start on it in March, or they can, and I go, that's fine. I'm not in a rush. And honestly, at the rate that I'm going, with this whole back and forth with Florida, I may not be able to release issue 12 until March. Which would be nice because then I'd have the Zhang Brothers cover to really test out, test it out to see if it's like, forget if other people are gonna like, am I gonna really like it,
Right.
So we'll see. But like I said, it's like there are people who probably look at that, look at their artwork and go, oh, I can't be like that, so why should I bother? And and my whole thing, it's like, that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun, trying to be like that. Even if I could just pick up a little pointer as to how they do the work. Like, you know what? Maybe I should change my inking style a bit and try to like do something a little bit different for pinups, because I wouldn't do it for the comics. I think my style for comics is already like pretty established. So just leave it at that. But like for pinups, I can be a lot more experimental with. And, but that's kind of like the point where it's like, yeah, I'm not good as these people, but I could try. I could pick up a couple of things, and incorporate it. And it's like, look, and every time I incorporate something into my work, sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. And if I like it, it's just something I end up doing more of. And it turns out that, oh, it actually makes my artwork look a little bit better. And, and I guess I'm the type of artist where my improvements are very incremental. Like there isn't going to be like this really dramatic jump. It's just going to be like a lot more subtle. And that's also something that I've also had to accept, that that's just the way I work. That it's like, look, unless I do something really drastic, like really, really buckle down on practicing and stuff, I don't think that there is going to be a really dramatic change in my style. But at the same time, I have no reason to do that. So maybe if I was 30 years younger, maybe I would have been a little bit more, I would have paid more attention to that. But now it's like, look, it's like, this is kind of where I'm at. But as long as I keep moving forward, that's fine by me. I don't know. It's like I've been yammering, so it's like so I don't know. It's like, do you have any like insight on this?
No, I really don't, because it's like I am so over AI art that I don't even want to talk about how bored I am with it. Like all I do is block. No,
that's what I do too. That's what I do too. It's not innovative. It's not nothing. It's like, it's like,
look, I don't try to explain anymore.
Yeah. It's like,
just, we're done.
If you're not creative, if you don't think yourself creative before it, you're not going to be creative after. Because it's not doing anything. And you know what? And also, and you know what? It's like, and if you can't tell me about your blorbos, why would I care?
Sure.
It's like, I want to know about your blorbos. It's like, it's like you want me to care about this artwork, but you're not giving me a reason to care about it. The only thing that this shit can say is that a computer made me. And it's like, okay, a computer made you. Great, whatever. Next, again, this is what it was made for. It wasn't made for people to sit and contemplate and more importantly, ask you questions. Like there are paintings that are hundreds of years old, thousands of years old, hundreds of thousands of years. Again, those cave paintings, going back to those cave paintings, to this day, people are still trying to figure out what the motivation behind that art was. Was it, just a map of the land, of the type of hunting that was there? Were they telling stories? Was it, like what was going on? Who made them? Right? It's like, was it, like who were the predominant artists of the time? Was it the people who hunted these animals, or were these the people telling the story of the hunt? Were they separate people? Who were they? Why did they do this? Why is it that there were particular ones that were exceptionally better at cave painting than others? Where it's like we're seeing like these so-called primitive sculptures, like these primitive carvings that could have been made yesterday because the skill, the underlying skill was, shits and giggles. We don't know. Like to this day, who's asking that? Who's asking that about a prompted piece? Oh, what's your motivation? Oh, I wanted to see Freerin naked. I wanted to see Elsa naked.
Right.
I mean, it's like, really, it's like, what's your, it's like nobody, like, tell me about your blorbos. If you can't tell me about your blorbos and talk for hours, I'm not interested. Because it's really funny. Because it's like, honestly, one of my favorite things to do. Yes, exactly. One of my favorite things to do is actually triggering Jose to talk about the Oswald Chronicles.
Oh my God.
And he just starts talking. This is a guy who could barely talk about his books when he's on his show, right? But when we're sitting there, right, when we're sitting in our chairs, he's watching TV and I'm sitting there, and I just start asking questions about something that happened in the story. And then all of a sudden he could go for hours. All of a sudden, it's like that wheel starts turning and it goes, well, I have to tell you about this. Then I have to tell you about that. Oh, and then this happens. And then, but then it's like, then there's this, and that. And I'm trying to figure out that. And then he could just keep going. And I love it. Because blorbos, who doesn't love listening to people talk about their blorbos? and it's just like, and it's just like, just hearing that, it's okay. It was funny. It's like, I just saw your thing about your that you might disappear.
It's weird.
Oh.
It's like getting power surges. But my Wi-Fi is strong, and my computer didn't flicker, but the lights did.
Oh, that's weird. I've had that happen too. Well, but then again, it's the weather, so we gotta like take that. We kind of expect something, because I know that I got the thing, a text from Con Ed saying to kind of like, keep an eye out for power outages and blah blah blah. So, but the thing is, though, it's like now. But then again, it's like, you see, because in my area, a lot of the power is underground, but I guess yours is above ground.
We're all in the trees.
So you're probably going to feel it more than, I would think that with all the construction they're doing near your area, they would take advantage and bury everything.
They did bury the Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. So at least that's,
and that may be why it seems to be holding. I don't know.
All right. Yeah.
I'm telling you, the kitchen light just like, it didn't even go out. It just like dimmed and then got real bright and then dimmed, and
yeah.
I noticed that it was doing it in the living room too, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But it's like, because like I guess like the same thing would be with like Jaden, that you see like all her different characters all over the place, really weird characters too.
Right.
Like I really enjoyed it when she was doing her bug girls.
Oh yeah,
like these girls that were just bugs. And it's like
her pill bug pudding characters.
Yeah, so it's like just kind of like weird stuff like that, and it's like, and that's, so it's like, and I think that's kind of, and that's the part of it, it's like,
right,
we're not supposed to see artwork for 8 seconds. That's not the point of artwork, and and it's like, and then it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, so that was just really the thing that I was like really thinking about when I saw that editor do the whole, don't polish your writing up too much, because you don't want to look like a machine.
I like mine is raw.
Right. Yeah. It's like the machine can, it's like, and that was the thing that I know that me and Jose spoke about, that it's like, when the machine can fake skill, what comes next? Like, what is it do we focus on? Like the machine can fake technique. Like, it's an aesthetic of skill, because it's not doing anything. That's the thing. It's an aesthetic that it's faking. It's the aesthetic of creativity, the aesthetic of skill, which it doesn't have, because it's neither. So when we don't have to worry about perfection anymore, what do we lean in on, as creatives? Like, of course, we still have to learn our craft, regardless. This is not an out to be your mediocre self, to be your best mediocre self, I guess. So it's like, so when perfection isn't what you're going for, then what is it do we concentrate on instead? Like, is it like another thing with the thing with graphic design? Another thing that these guys were talking about is how, like what we're going to be seeing more of in the future is human creatives translating the SLOP into something that's actually usable and creative. And, because like a lot of these companies are still going to insist on using prompters. So they were saying that it's going to be us. It's going to be the responsibility of us creatives to make that translation into the human space. And that's where the real skills are going to be at. Like how things are edited, how things are created. It's like you're taking SLOP. It's kind of like you're taking SLOP and you're trying, and your job is to be a Michelin star chef and turn it into something that people will actually want to eat. And so he was saying that it's like that in turn is going to be the skill set that these companies are going to be forced to pay for in the future. So it's like, yeah, there's going to be less of us, but we're going to be significantly more expensive. An AI halfway house. Yeah. But our skills are going to be significantly more expensive, because also what this technology is going to do is going to scrape the plate of all the people who are just coasting. Iron Chef for art. Yeah. That's what they were. Yeah.
All the rich folks is going to be buying private artists.
Right. Yeah. That's and I've been hearing that in that circles too, that artists are going to be that actual artists are going to be the next luxury marker. Right. You know how people couldn't afford groceries, and all of a sudden all these luxury brands were turning purses into food. They were making food shaped luxury purses. It's not coincidence. That whatever the common people have or don't have is what luxury pivots towards or away from. So the more gen tech is forced on the common people, the more luxury gets pushed towards actual traditional art, human art. So that's and advertising being advertising, it's like they're catering to these people. That's what they're saying. That's where, because they are going to want to see actual human art. So yeah. So again, it's like, when perfection is no longer something we have to chase because, well, a machine can do it. The machine can give the aesthetic of perfection. Then what are we free to do? What do we don't have to worry about anymore? Can we actually like lean into our blorbos instead of having to try to chase something? Well, it's like the machine is already giving everybody naked Disney princesses. You don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to worry about that. Oh my goodness. So I think, yes, I think I just ran long enough on that thought. That's just what I was thinking. Like I said, it gives me a very strange sense of hope, but I think strange times require strange results.
Well, hope should be the fact that OpenAI declared that they'd be bankrupt at this rate by 2027.
Well, good for them.
That's one thing.
Sorry, not sorry.
Boo-hoo, so sad. Oh, well.
Right. Meanwhile, I can still do my comics.
Oh, word.
Yeah, meanwhile, I can still do my artwork without a problem. So, hey, that was the breaks.
It sucks to be them.
Oh, my goodness. So there we go. So just in time. Nina lost her power. Just as we're about to end the show here, though. So again, thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you everybody in the chat with your 2 cents of commentary in this economy. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, the beautiful eyeball people watching from regions beyond. Yeah, pretty much. So sad. Anyway, so thank you all, everybody. So I hope you're not too snowed in. Hopefully the sun was out a little bit today, to at least melt enough of the snow blocking my door, because all it is a tiny little strip of snow on the track. So it's just like, as long as that one, I could kind of like push that with the door off, I should be okay. But we still have to shovel the front, so we'll get to that. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I almost made it. Yeah, exactly. So everybody say goodbye to Nita. We'll see her next time. And I will see everybody next time too. I'm looking to do the live stream. Like I said, pretty much with everything going on with the network and running 2 channels and everything, it's like I pretty much got everything under control. So I should be able to get back on my regular schedule, streaming schedule. So oh my goodness. So if you want to learn more about me and my artwork and everything else, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can read Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn for free. And remember that the link to the issue 12 pre-launch is in the chat and the show notes as well. So hit that link so that you can be notified when my campaign goes live. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales. That's TAILSonline.com, where you can read an archive of over 1,000 pages, where you can really see, what my artwork looked like from the very beginning to the very last current page of the series. I still have 2 more issues to finish on that, but that's coming up. And remember, while you're on either of those websites, or even right now, make sure to scan. Here we go. Scan this QR code so you can sign up for my newsletter, where you can keep up to date with all of my new art, sketchbooks, comics, Kickstarters, and get a free PDF comics bundle just for joining. You get to try Ego Raven for free, Tall Tales for free, and the Oswald Chronicles for free. So you too can read about all of Jose's Blorbos in a very convenient online PDF form. Or you can read all of our Blorbos. Oh my goodness. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me and Nita for as long as she lasted. We'll hopefully see you on Wednesday for my art live stream. It's a 2-hour live stream from 2 to 4 p.m. It's just me drawing and talking about whatever it is everybody wants to talk about in the chat. It's a lot more freeform than this. So if you're the type that likes to hang out watching artists draw at conventions, feel free to join me on Wednesday at 2 p.m. And you don't even have to worry about blocking my tables. So there you go. So thank you so much, everybody, again. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work. Because when you actually do the work, you never have to prompt any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much again. And we'll see you next time.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?